This is Next Radio 2017 with Broadcast Bionics.
Thanks, everyone. This is quite an impressive room. As he said, my name's Joe D'Angelo. I will try not to suck, and I'll show you the future of radio in the car. So I'm with a company called Xperi, and we're the roll-up of a bunch of different companies around the world, HD Radio, DTS, All In Media, that is basically dedicated to the future of broadcast radio, whether it's analog or digital. And our specialty is getting this technology into the car. We've implemented our technology in about 45 million cars in the US. We're starting to bring that global now. And we've all seen slides like this, where back in the day, AM radios were simple, they were in the dash, but now the dash looks completely different. You see a Tesla here, it's a multimedia platform. And what was driving that evolution really was choice. Initially, all you had was AM radio, AM broadcast. Those were the days. We controlled everything. But now you've got a world where you've got different digital radio systems around the world, HD radio and DAB, and then you have the internet. And the internet is now in the car. It's coming more integrated and in growing numbers. And this is the platform that broadcast radio really has to compete against. Over the last couple of years, there's been a challenge for the car companies because there have been divergent standards. We've had DAB, HD radio, and some countries like China only remaining in analog. So 84% of all cars sold in the world are sold in those three regions. How do you innovate around radio in the dash when you have different platforms? Thankfully, the hardware manufacturers, those guys that build the radios, have solved that problem. We now have global radio standards that can be deployed around the world that you're able to take advantage of. And we talk to broadcasters around the world and try to drive this message home that the car companies have invested a tremendous amount of money in putting new technology in the car that works with your over-the-air signals and gives you a platform to really improve your product and reach your customers. Sorry. The car companies are also under a lot of pressure now. They're innovating around different components, different areas of the car, the drivetrain. We see a lot with electric vehicles. A ton of work is going on with ADAS, the Advanced Driver Assisted Platforms. So there's a lot of competition for those investment dollars on where to innovate. And while there was a lot of money coming into the dash, into the cockpit, around enhanced navigation, high-end audio systems, a lot of that focus now is shifting. And I think it's incumbent on us as broadcasters and certainly our company as a technology company to figure out a way to keep broadcast radio relevant in that environment. And thankfully, the investment that US, Canadian, and European broadcasters have made in digital over the years is starting to pay off. You see implementations now of digital radio that make discovery much easier as you proliferate your channels and you get 30, 40 channels on a MUX, or in the case in like New York, we have over 100 FM radio stations. Discovery is a real challenge for and instead of just tuning up and down the dial like you used to, we now have rich user interfaces like you see here. They just present branding opportunities for radio stations. There's expanded choice, as I talked about, and there's engagement. We are able to put metadata. Metadata is key now in the broadcast space. It's what makes Alexa work, that descriptive information about the programming and services. So the engagement that you're able to deliver to your audience now with metadata is, I think, a unique opportunity that digital radio presents. But radio's not alone. One of the trends we're fighting is to keep radio prominent in the dash. In this implementation, you still see where radio has its own dedicated button, but right across the screen is the apps button. You get in that app space, and you're going to see a plethora of audio services. Here are just three that Chrysler, in this case, had implemented. And the one thing that makes these services different, one of many things that makes these services different, is they're not only delivering choice, but they're also delivering control, and they have enhanced discovery, which are two elements that are challenging for broadcast radio. Certainly control, and the level of engagement I mentioned right now is driven by metadata, but we think you can do even more once you connect broadcast with IP. James spoke earlier about a platform called Next Radio, and that's kind of the model that we're working on bringing into the car. We all know Apple and Google are making a strong push into the car. Do you see anything different between these vehicles? They look pretty similar to me, and that's the double-edged sword of CarPlay and Android for Auto. They take all that creativity, all that design, all that HMI, the human-machine interface, work out of the hands of the car manufacturer, really commoditize the dash. What you see here is a Volvo, VW, Mercedes, and a Mini Cooper. Radio, on the other hand, gives power back to the car manufacturer. We work hand in hand with the car manufacturers to help them present a rich user interface that fits within their design styles. When you couple that with the internet, which is going to be there anyway, it's going to be a competitive threat to your over-the-air signal, but you use it to your advantage. We can all of a sudden now create a much richer discovery environment. We provide a live guide in this case. We're actually telling you what song, what program is on every channel that you can receive over the air. We're enhancing that channel. Once you get engaged with the programming, we're delivering a lot of metadata into that user experience. One of the more valuable things that comes out of a connected platform like this is measurement data. You get exact information about how long the listener stayed with your programming, what they did they turn the volume up, did they turn it down, did they tune off? You get all that data. So you're going to have a level of insight into your consumers that you never had before. Metadata, as I said before, was key. But what another benefit, in the last 10 years, broadcasters around the world have been producing metadata for a variety of purposes. Here in the UK and in Europe, you have platforms like Radio Player. I'm sure many of you in the room are on Radio Player, so you know the kind of data you're feeding into that platform. Radio Player is a content partner of ours. So you really don't have to do anything new to get your data into these connected vehicles. In the US, we have Tag Station, which is the back end to that Next Radio app you saw. In Australia, we have Radio app, and then there are open standards like Radio DNS. So there's a whole platform of technology and products that are going to allow you as a broadcaster to really exploit this connected car platform. So when I talk to broadcasters, we talk about kind of 3 timeframes. What can you do today? I encourage broadcasters to do the best digital programming, both audio and metadata they can, because the car companies have spent a lot of money putting that technology in the car. Tomorrow, we're going to have connected cars, a combination of of broadcast and the internet. Prepare for that. Get your producers used to thinking about a show segment and the metadata that should ride along with that, whether it's descriptive text, an image, or whatnot. There's a lot that can be done to deliver an engaging user experience in the car. And then beyond that, this is where I personally get really excited as a bit of a technologist. We all have heard about the autonomous car. The autonomous car is going to need about 7 terabytes of data a day to move through its environment. We believe that broadcast radio, digital broadcast radio, can deliver valuable information into that vehicle. So what we're talking about is bifurcating the digital capacity to deliver both audio services enhanced with IP, and then using additional data capacity to deliver information to the vehicle. We think this is a huge opportunity for the broadcast industry. So in closing my observations, invest in the digital broadcasting, both the infrastructure and the programming. It provides a great foundation for radio to have a long future in an ever more evolving car platform. Enhance your programming with the metadata. I already talked about how important that is for discovery and engagement. Be everywhere, be on all these platforms, but don't forget where you came from. Broadcast is still the most widely consumed medium in the planet, and that's true in the developed world and the developing world. Get the word out. In the States, we've been very slow to educate our audience about what's gone on with radio, and therefore everyone thinks radio is stale, it's the old technology, it's my dad's or grandparents' technology. Get the word out about what's going on. The investments are significant, and your audience should know that. And then be prepared to learn about your audience like you never have before. The metrics that are coming in, I think, are going to give you insight and power around what your audience is doing with your content, and you can take that into your creative process. So that's my time. Thanks for listening.